So we learned that chronic stress has both mental and body consequences. It's cumulative. It's the body keeps the scores of everything happens. It's not just our mind that's impacted. But if we want to change, we need to work both on the mind part that's particular to you, but also on the body part. So stress and survival response is triggered because we're no longer in the safe zone. So before you can say, oh, I'm going to deal with my anxiety, I'm going to deal with my addiction, I'm going to deal with working on the stress, you have to first get back out of the survival mode. So it's about changing the state of your mind before you can have any goals. Willpower. Everybody thinks, well, what's the big deal? I'm just going to start exercise, I'm just going to cut this, I'm going to do that. This is the New Year's resolution, right? 99% of that fail. Why? Because we have willpower only if we are not stressed. If we're stressed, there is zero willpower. It's biology. Our cortisol, everything that I just showed you, works against you. We also have deficiency of all those neurotransmitters that are supposed to help us. So we got to learn first to change the state of our mind, get back into telling our mind and our body to be in the safe zone. It starts with that. Okay? We're going to talk about that. And this was actually developed and basically the original stress response theory that Dr. Selly and Cannon came up with. It was based just on adrenaline and cortisol. Was updated actually by Dr. Stephen Porges, a neuroscientist, in 1993. And he says, well, there's more than there is a stress response, which is the fight or flight. That's one of our states. But there's also the healing repair phase, what we call the ventral vagal state. And that's the part that, you see, we're focused on what causes the disease, both as patients, but also as doctors. What do I give you a drug that may help you to do this. What we're not focused on is, even if I give you heart medicines, I give you heart failure medicines, it appears that I'm fixing your heart. And I tell everybody, okay, what shall I expect? Well, 1/3 will get better, 1/3 will stay the same, 1/3 will get worse. But the 2 out of 3 who get better, the drugs did not cause the healing. The drug just counteracted the stress response. Basically what I do, if you look, beta blockers are against adrenaline. Spironolactone that we take, it's against scar formation in the heart. That's another stress hormone called aldosterone. Entresto or lisinopril, it's another stress hormone. It's called angiotensin. It causes enlargement. All I'm doing, I am preventing the stress response of the body from attacking the heart and the rest of the organs, including the brain. I'm not doing anything to the heart. So the question is then, okay, well, how does the heart get better? It's very simple. There's a natural healing response and repair phase that our body does, which is very little studied. Why? Because there's no money into that. Nor everybody thinks that the body can repair itself. So the body and the heart repairs. All we do is just remove or give a break to the stressors. That's it. So what are the natural healthy mechanisms? But before we understand that, you have to understand, if I were to put my body into a safe environment so the healing and repair can start, I need to put my mind into a safe. So how do I keep my mind? Well, I have to realize that my mind started to go the stress way a long time ago. By the way, all of us. Everybody who's here, because even the fact that you're interested, we have problems. The difference is between somebody who's sick and somebody who's not sick, it's how we deal with it and how we compensate. So here is how a certain personality trait we created has happened. We start with, as in the first 4 years of life, the child needs to have deep, safe connection and ability for free play. Okay? Deep means very tight connection. Mom and dad have to be there for them all time when they need them. Like if it hurts or something happens. Safe means obvious. It's, financial safety, food, sleep, just a safe household. Secure meaning, I don't like something. I'm starting crying. I'm going to my mom. Mom says no. But it doesn't just say no. If I repeat and I keep insisting, it starts yelling at me. That means I learned that I cannot express my negative emotion in a safe manner. It could be emotional version or physical version. Either way, I think I'm going to learn that I cannot tell that to my mom. I cannot tell that to my dad. As a matter of fact, I can't tell anybody because I'll be punished. So that creates any of the lacks of this, including the ability for free play, which, by the way, in this country, to me, is shocking. I grew up in some ridiculous communist Romania, okay? We didn't have any car. We didn't have anything. I didn't have a bike. However, all the kids from the neighborhood would play in the same place. You didn't need a car to go somewhere. It was right there. This is one advantage of having a community, which have disrupted. Now, if I want to have my child to play, my son or daughter to play with somebody, we have to do a play date. It may take 3 weeks in advance, and it will be a 2-hour little thing. Most of the time, they end up playing on some iPad, and that's that. Okay, that is our child, even with the best parenting, unable to free play. Why is free play important? Because that's how the brain develops and grows, gets out of the survival zone, the safe zone. Okay, that's how we learn. Free play exists in adults too. When we actually go outdoors and we do whatever we do in nature, nature is the only in the world doesn't want anything from us. Suddenly, I can free play. I'm calm. No one wants anything from my brain. That is why you need to be there. It's the best psychotherapy ever. Free. The only requirement is the more and the more exposure, but not with the media, not with the digital. Focus on it. It's like you're trying to make friends with the tree. I pick up photography. I take pictures. Why? Allows me to focus on that bird, allows me to focus on a certain thing. My brain actually learns to do that, and it focuses on that. I forget about everything. I'm so relaxed after an hour of bird watching is ridiculous. Big difference. So free play is essential, not just for the kids, for their brain development, but also for adults, for ongoing. We need to free play. No agenda. All right? Why? Because if I have that, and I learn my friends will not accept me, my parents will not accept me, then I learned I gotta perform. So I'm gonna do everything for what the others think of me. Otherwise, I'm not accepted. I'm not seen. I'm not wanted. So I create a mask, a performance. It's all about, I grow up, and then when I start to do athletics, when I start to do music, it's all competitive. That's what society tells us to do. Guess what? Free play is gone. That's why most of these kids they could be fantastic and very competitive when they are in the high school, they stop completely after they are done. Because getting into the competitive side of it killed everything. They forget to free play. And I tell them, you have the skill, go back. Just play. Nobody's watching you. For you. Do it. You'll be shocked. The best therapy you can have. Mind goes free. Your mind will know how to see. Instead of doing it, compete for worth, need to perform, worry about how we are seen and not who we are inside. And we get disconnect from ourselves. When I ask somebody, well, what do you want from this? When you come to see your doctor, what do you expect me to do? Here is the mask that I'm supposed to wear. Give me a pill that will fix everything. Here's the truth. It's a lie. I'm not going to wear that mask. Now, My colleagues may think otherwise. Why? Doesn't mean they're wrong. That's all they know. But I know the limitations. I've done it for 30 years. I'm a drug prescriber. I can prescribe drugs that you never heard of 100 times a day. I'm huge with that. And that's how I learned their limitations. No, they don't. All they do, they buy us some time. You put a Band-Aid on a blood gushing wound. You buy some time, even if they work. And a lot of times they don't work as advertised. Okay? But the body needs to be allowed to heal itself. The cause is not treated by the Band-Aid. We still got to work on that. One of the causes, if we keep doing everything for the outside world and we forget who we are and what you really want, is these circuits are abnormal from the first 4 or 5 years of life. Why? Nobody's fault. Your mom was a single mom. She had 3 kids and she had to work. So you, as a child who is more emotional than the others, had to help mom. And you started, co-parenting. If you start co-parenting, then it's called, you reverse role. The child becomes the parent. So guess what? You become fantastic at being a caregiver. As a matter of fact, when you grow up, you pick up your job like that. You work in healthcare system. Guess what? You even marry somebody who needs to be taken care of. All right? Not necessarily physical, but emotional in a different way. It doesn't matter. The point is, as long as there is support, you don't have to get sick just being a good caregiver. There's nothing wrong to help people and just be about the others, except you get addictions. You start eating the wrong stuff. You start to, while you're busy 18 hours a day taking care of everybody else but yourself and who you are and what are your needs, including maybe spending an hour outdoors, sleeping 8 hours a day, eating whole foods, then things build up. And then you're going to get into trouble. Not only that, I have had patients who they're dying of breast cancer and chemotherapy wiped out their heart to a point that needs heart transplant. And all they could do about is to continue to work and take care of their mom, who is otherwise going to live another 10 years anyway. But that was their priority. That's called compulsive caregiving. When you do it to help others, but you know you're sick and you need yourself your attention, that means you have a problem. And then if there was a support, like your husband or a significant other that suddenly dies, then your whole world falls apart. That's everything else. For somebody who is a high achiever, they became this amazing, driven, could be a CEO, could be an amazing physician, like I was once upon a time, workaholic. Why? It's beautiful. The more I see patients, the more I make money. My social status is fantastic. It gets better. On the outside, everything looks perfect. On the other side, when my son grew up, I never saw him because I come after 9 o'clock. I'm available for everybody but my son. Okay? So guess what? When he was a teenager, I don't realize why I got into conflict with him. He just stopped talking to me, not interested in anything. We're doing much better now, by the way. But I realized something was missing. I was a missing father for my son. I paid the dues. Okay? I wasn't missing. I learned that the only way how I can overcome 48 hours of not sleeping is to eat pizza and drink a beer before I go to sleep. That's the only I could turn off. And trust me, everybody who is a big, famous, otherwise lawyer or a CEO, they have the same problem. If you don't believe me, just look at their bellies. The difference is I can't afford to grow that belly because I'll be dead of diabetes long time before that happens. So I have to catch it much sooner. I'm a TOFI. Okay? There is a price that you pay for that success. And you can say, I enjoy it. Guess what? Even the successful ones, you'll know they'll crash. Why? The whole life story that we create in our mind, a false story, will crash when part of the story and reality goes away. What's that? I lose my job, or I decide to retire. Guess what happens? You crash. Because all the lie that you told yourself, everything is built around job is everything. And that's the only how I get my gratitude and my reward and how I enjoy it. And that's when they crash. The same way that's for the high achiever. For the caregiver, they crash when their significant others passes, or they have a breakup, or they lose. In other words, they lose that support. Sometimes even their object of care, so to speak. They crash. They grieve 10 times worse than anybody else. That was their object, and their whole life has been built around that. As long as that reality is maintained, they're compensated. As soon as that happens and they fail, it's bad. The same with the job for a high achiever. And why? Suddenly, the high achiever and the caregiver will feel worthless, and there's no purpose, no meaning what they do. Because this whole purpose was created this way. Okay? So you need to step back and think, okay, what am I missing here? What do I want from my life? I mean, it's a simple question. You could be religious or you don't have to be religious. The fact is, we're very short on earth. Very short life. And the big picture, very short. The big picture, it doesn't matter all we do, a job. I don't even know when they invented this thing called job. Why we need it to waste our life with. All right? Because there's a difference between just producing enough money so you can live okay versus produce more money, and keep creating the same, building on the same false sense of scarcity. I mean, when is it enough? And you keep going like that. And the truth is, I mean, I remember I went to some American Express advice, first time I ever had a job at 33, more than just living from one month to another. And I became a cardiologist. And the first thing he said, well, I calculate you need about $4 million to keep at $150,000 income after you retire. So he started to save me, I don't know how much, whatever it is. Well, what do you think happened if I go to the same guy and he'll tell me how much I need? Oh, he will tell me 15 million now, 25. This is what they do. They make up crap. Why? So you pay more, so you work harder, so you get more. When I am, up to 5 years old, I was fine until I was 3 years old, right? If I'm a new baby born in this world right now in America, this is the story that I'm being told by the society and by my parents. I can afford to be a baby until I'm about 3. After that, I go to pre-K. And why do I need to go pre-K and pay attention and make sure I comply with the society rules and learn this? Because then I'm going to kindergarten. And why? Because from kindergarten, I got to be prepared for the school. And the school has to be competitive. By the way, your grades are your business. That's your job. At 7 years old, this is what I told my son when he wasn't doing well. Okay? And all he wanted is to play Nintendo. That was my mistake. I should have kept that away. But the point is, then you go to elementary school. Why? So we can have a better middle school. Otherwise, you lose big time. Well, what about middle school? Well, you absolutely need a good high school. Otherwise, you'll never make it to a college, a competitive college. Or what about college? Oh, finally got a college. It's not gonna, college? You do nothing with college nowadays. You need a postgraduate, either a master in something, or you need a graduate school. Okay, fine. Let's postpone and let's keep going there. I'm 30 years old. I finished my graduate school. I got my first job. Man, in 20 years, you're going to retire. You need to start putting some money on the side. You got this cost. Kids cost, everything costs. Forget about living life right now. You need to keep producing something for something. Okay, I'm about to retire. Bang, crash. Hold on a second. The only reason I was enjoying life is because I had the job. I miss my buddies at work. You realize how big is this whole life of what we're going through. Because there's a difference between when I retire, really, I had my house paid. My kids by then, if they haven't done well, I've done a lousy job anyway, and it's bye-bye. All right? You need whatever you need, calculate $5,000, $10,000 a year to pay your And I always say, if it goes higher than a certain amount, whatever the tax is now, I'm going to sell it and move in a different place where I pay minimal or no tax. Okay? Why do I need to do that? I'm going to count them. I'm going to have zero extra income when I retire. And I'm going to work on cutting the expenses, not keep the expenses the same way. And this is a big difference. Why? Because each time I keep the same expense, I got to make more, which means I got no life. Now I'm done with this, not having a life. This is not about work-life balance. It's about no life and work. That's what we've been doing. That's the story we tell our kids. That's the story we've been told. And we're making a big mistake because the story, it's a scarcity story. The truth is, everywhere you look, we are doing fabulous compared to our parents or grandparents, 50, 70, 100 years ago. We're doing fabulous. We don't need any of that. But yes, we're not doing well if we keep the expenses the way where I'm doing it when I'm 30 years old and I got an income of $200,000. And that needs to be changed. So this sounds like it's a sidekick, but it's not. What do we want from a short life, which we have not? I'm 57 years old and I get my first 10 years of working, I didn't even take 1 day vacation. This is how idiot I was. Always excited about learning something new, doing something else for somebody. And yes, I got some pay, but if I were to look back, there was no money that would be enough for what I've actually have achieved. And if you look yourself back, you can tell yourself the same thing. So no, that's not how it works. So step back and think about, that's not how we're designed for. You can create an ego or a mind or a story in our mind that's based on separation and fear of not having enough anything, or we can create one of integration and love. Guess what? Everything that means health and safe, it's for free. I'm talking about everything. Safe, health, everything is only for free. Exercising outdoors, being in a good connection with a significant other, it's for free. Having a family is for free. Now your kids may want more and more and more, but that's your problem because you gave them more and more and more. Doesn't mean you cannot go backwards, say, wait, my income has been limited. We're just going to have to do how we have. I grew up that way. I have wonderful parents. However, I remember since I was 3 years old, by day 3 after they got their salary, so it was 30th of the month, no money. 1st of the month they got money. By day 3, there'll be no money. The next of 27 days, fights in the household that kids could hear it. Dad was the boss. He could borrow money from somebody, his subordinators. Why? Because he was not part of the Communist Party while the others were. The truth is, contrary what everybody thinks about communism, is more capitalism than capitalism. The power and the money is concentrating in the very few who are at the top, and everything else, everybody else has to work for it. That's it. So I grew up with scarcity, financial scarcity. No money, no money. My dad promised me he was going to get me a bike by 18. I left home, never had a bike. As a matter of fact, my first car that I didn't even know how to drive. I learned to drive at age 30 here in Georgia because I had to start my fellowship at Emory. And guess what? My first time I got my Corolla, I only had the driver permit. I went the wrong way in the downtown, those one-way streets, and I hit the pole. Okay, that was first day after I bought my Corolla. But the point is, that didn't stop me. Scarcity is not a problem. It's the interpretation of the scarcity that I receive based on the whole mindset of what the society tells us as children, and we get primed like that since we're born, versus what our parents do too. I had no problem with having nothing. And point is, it's up to us that we can change that. We can have a default mode network, what we call this. We have two brains. One is as I mentioned, the wise brain, which is here, prefrontal cortex. Monkeys don't have it, we have it. And we have the other brain that tells them, when you say I, me, I believe in this, that's a fake I. It's an illusion. There is no I. There are no beliefs. It's just a memory that was stored based on some prior experience in our brain, that our brain is trying to predict what we're going to do with the situation. It offers you that. And I choose to say I. But it's the biggest fake. There is no. Each time you say I, you can pick the I that is optimist, loving person who trusts everybody, or trust they have a sense of life or meaning. Or you can pick the I that lives in fear, as somebody who lives in fear has been too many times put down, and you learn that the only life is the one where you are always in defense of something, of somebody, and everything is scarcity. You can pick which one you're going to use your mind for, but it's automatic pilot from there. All I know is that the one to the left, that you tell yourself, I got to keep working, I got to keep doing, I got to keep accumulating more money, I got to keep pleasing people, I got to keep doing things that work against me every minute, every hour, no matter how stressed I am. All right? And that part is going to activate those four disaster systems that I was telling you. Your immune system will go down, your metabolic system will be stressed out and you get diabetes, you are going to be prone for addictions, and you're going to be miserable most of the time. Or you can pick the other version. It's up to you who you want to do. And you say, well, I can't. Look, there are needs to be satisfied. Sure, but doesn't mean long term. So we have two different states with two different minds in the same brain. One is based on illusion, light, danger, and a stress mind. The other one is truth, safety, and safe mind. That means it's in me, how I see life and how I imagine what matters to me, that I'm going to invest my time and energy for. Doesn't mean I'm going to relinquish any responsibility I have for human beings or the other. No, I can still be a good doctor while I'm work. But I'm going to be a non-doctor the moment I'm out. And guess what? I'm going to make every effort from now on. I'm going to spend as little time as possible at the hospital, and I'm going to separate the worlds. I'm going to know I'm going to act out when I'm at work. Why? It's okay. I'm going to put a mask for what I need to do. All right? And I'm not putting my energy during the day into that. My real energy is going to be the moment I'm out there. The same with vacations. You can decide, and it's a gradual change. Doesn't have to be overnight. The system wants from me to see more patients. That's it. It's a financial relationship. Now, Emory is a wonderful place. That's why I stay here. It's way more protected than any other place, but it's a jungle out there. Make no mistakes, all the patients, you only have, from the system perspective, a financial relationship with me. I know that's not what you believe, and that's not what you get, at least from me and a lot of my colleagues. But we are all under pressure to actually work against what should be our relationship. Because when I give you only 15 minutes of my time, that's what's scheduled. That's not going to happen. That I can do anything but prescribe you some drugs. That's the only thing that can happen. And sometimes you'll be happy, sometimes you may not be happy about that. That's as far as it goes. I'm limited. If I give you 45 minutes, which sometimes I do, particularly my first patient, then, and you're at the beginning of my day, then by the end of the day, after 20 patients, I got patients waiting for 2 hours from me. They're going to be very upset, the ones who are waiting. Either way, I'm screwed. So I have to make a choice. Do I oblige the system, who's paying my paycheck? Or do I oblige my patient, which is according to who I think how I should practice medicine and why I sign up for this? And some of my patients will be very happy, and some of them will be very upset. That day, eventually, if they give me a chance, eventually I make up to them, because there will be their turn when I'm going to spend more than 15 minutes. But everybody is different. And then, of course, some of our patients, legit, not because they don't know me, they come and you got the next appointment in 2 hours and you're still stuck at Sorescu. You don't even know if you'll be seen. It's a terrible system. I know that because my mom needs to go to 7 different specialists, and I help with that. and I've been stuck there for 2 hours. I know what it means. But it's a financial system. And I have to decide every day, what am I doing? The same from your perspective. I have plenty of my patients, they refuse to come to see me because they are ashamed to tell me they can't afford the bills. It's a horrible situation. It goes both ways. And so we have to stick, and we try hard in our clinic. I can tell you, each and every nurse I work, Tiara, who is there in front, she's unbelievable. She's like magic how she figures all this out. How we can try to help everybody, even when they cannot afford to come. Okay? But sometimes I don't even know why the patient didn't show up. It's not true. She goes in, she figures out, well, run out of insurance, and it's just a shame. I said, no problem. Just get them. We can find a way. That's one of the reasons why I stay at Emory. We can put them on chart. There are other ways. But we have to do all kinds of creative tricks to be consistent what we sign up in the system for. And even then we get it wrong. All right? So again, I can do that because I chose not to stick with this version of me where I'm just a slave to the system that creates more a disaster for me. I try to do this the best I can. I'm still stressed, but it's an everyday, but I correct. I know what I need to do when I get home, so I correct myself. I get resilient. I learned that. So the same, we can do that. All right? So I tell everybody, this is the most cited sentence from the Bible. Fear not, the truth will set you free. It's probably the most scientific sentence from the Bible. We finally learned it's true, okay? Because here's my message here. Fear is the greatest enemy of mental body and health. I can protect you from everything, but not from fear. If you live your life, if you approach any illness you have with fear, you are done. Why? What does fear do? Triggers amygdala, cortisol. Fear, perception of fear, activates everything on its own. And remember, you're not running away from a bear, which will stop. That bear in your mind will never stop. And why? It's an illusion. There is no such thing as fear unless you see the bear or a dog is attacking you, or some other humans are attacking you. Otherwise, there is no fear. It's an illusion. Because we are trapped in our own mind based on a prior template that we learned as kids. Because yes, when we were kids, we needed that. Well, I need to survive. So what if the babysitter had to take care of 6 kids at the same time? I can protect myself. But then when you grow up, say, wait a minute, I don't need to perform and try to capture the attention of my babysitter or my parents. I'm good. I can be my own parent. I don't have to do anything for anybody to please anybody. The truth is, and I try to convince my patients, nobody cares about what you think. You think if I work hard to create this amazing impression for you, is going to make a difference. No, because our brain doesn't look how intense is something, positive or negative. Our brain only registers what's familiar. So what's familiar? What Sorescu has done each and every time, most of the time, with everybody, or with a certain person. And after that person has seen it 50, 100 times, then he registers a pattern that's familiar. And doesn't matter. That's why if you go to a wedding and you're going to have how you're dressed, you're going to have some friends that are going to be very happy, and some of them who are going to be pissed. Some of them are going to say, oh, this was amazing. Some of them, in their mind, doesn't have to tell you, this is a disaster. Point is, the ones who are your friends, you haven't changed their opinion. The ones who are not your friends, you haven't changed your opinion. Doesn't matter what you do. And I'm not asking you to go to a wedding in underwear. But that's because then you will make an impression that's probably most of the time to the left, but they will not be worried about your test. They will be worried whether you're sane. And that's a different story. And that will probably tell the truth better. Point is, fear is the greatest help. You need to get out of the fear. You cannot approach. And why do we have fear? Okay? We have fear because we're missing actually some other neurotransmitters, like it's called GABA, which is an inhibitory signal, and serotonin, which is what I was telling you, the control signal. And the reason why we're missing it is because a system that's triggered by fear, so there's a difference between fear and anxiety, right? Fear is acute danger, running away from something, the acute danger gone, we're done. Anxiety is what if question. Okay, if there is one thing that I would like for you to try to find out, please stop ever, remove from your vocabulary what if when it comes to your future. If you can conquer that, you're already halfway through any possible therapy you can ever do. Okay, the what if is what contributes to the illusion and the lie in your brain. Because the what if, although your brain has a working circuit that is trying to predict what if. Why? It's triggered by uncertainty. It's triggered by conflict. All right? It's triggered by lack of control. So any of that will trigger the what if question. Here's the truth, though. Can we predict anything about the future? No. So it is a lie. What if doesn't matter? What if they'll fire me if I don't do this and that, or I don't show today to work? I say, yeah, if you've done it 100 times, familiar patterns, they will fire you if you do it one more time. But if it's not a familiar pattern, you're not going to get fired. This makes no sense. Again, it's familiarity and frequency of what you have done and who you are, how they perceive you. So, and I'll say, I joke with our colleagues or nurses in the clinic. I say, please, when I have had some sleep deprivation, I say, please say something bad about me to your superior. I hope I can be fired tomorrow. Because the moment I'm fired, finally, I can learn to do what I always wanted to do in my life. And not this. Okay? Say, Sorescu just did something inappropriate. I don't know. I don't care. Fine. I want to see I'm curious. What I'm going to do in my life. I think I'm going to have a great time. All right? But the point is, what if questions trigger the imbalance? The what if questions are about past that we try to avoid by thinking about the future. The truth is this, we look at our past, which shows our prior solutions to prior experiences, and trying to think that the next experience is going to be the same as the previous one for which I have a solution, or I'm trying to run away so it doesn't happen. This makes no sense. Obvious, it's not our smart brain that's in charge there. It's our, what I call the idle brain, the automatic pilot brain. The idle brain, the automatic pilot brain, which is triggered by anxiety circuits, is the I, the me, the what did I do before, what memory I had before, that comes automatically. But it doesn't mean that you got to listen to it. It's actually asking your opinion. Hey, idiot, whenever you were sick before, do you remember what we did? So this doesn't happen. I'm offering, do you want to do this now? And it wants you to think about it. But literally, that's all it wants, to think about it as a potential idea. You don't have to get trapped and believe. I would say, think about these what-if questions as thoughts being clouds, where you, the real you are the sky. Clouds come and go. It could be completely no, but the sky is there, will always be there, is always blue. All right? You don't have to take them seriously. If you actually let those thoughts, not paying attention for 20 minutes, they go away. The same way with the negative emotions, they are triggered by it. We have to learn. They say there is a ultimate actually intelligence that we have. It's called metacognition, ability to reflect, think about our own thoughts. Criticize for real objective our own thoughts. If we can stand back and before we act on it, we start thinking, that's a smart thought, that's a stupid thought. If we can actually learn to do that, but for that, you have to, I'm going to ask the extrovert to become an introvert, a problem solver, a thinker. Think about what you just came in your mind that you say, I. It's not real. I does not exist. Myself does not exist. It's a story we created in our life based on some experiences and beliefs that we keep trying to perpetuate because we got to keep the same identity. And this is when we run into trouble, because reality every day can be changing. And so our prior solutions that are automatic in our brain have nothing to do with the future. Then we run into trouble. It's like I'm 70 and I'm still thinking I'm 20. My brain is the same. I can go and do my run, 8 miles. Woo! I just need to will it. No, it's not the same. It's different. So we run away from some of this, and there are circuits, serotonin and GABA. You don't need to remember them. Just know that the brain turns off by using negative neurotransmitters that turn off the signals. And this part, the wise brain, is supposed to inhibit that automatic pilot when you say me, myself, all beliefs that don't match anymore the reality. And you can have deficiency from those, but you can upgrade them. As a matter of fact, most of our mental, brain uses 20% of all the energy produced in the body for 2% weight, okay? So it's by far the biggest user of energy, but it uses 90% of that to create inhibitor, to keep blocking you from having the wrong thoughts that will go against the identity of what the brain wants to do. Actually, so it's easy to run out of these neurotransmitters, and we are low in GABA, low in serotonin. We can get anxiety disorder, panic attack, insomnia, chronic stress. When you say, oh, I had a panic attack. No, you had the low GABA and serotonin. You don't have a GABA attack. You don't have a panic attack. And the question is, what do I do? Well, I give you Zoloft centrally. You know what it does? It raises your serotonin. But that takes about 4 or 5 weeks, and it just raises a little bit. But if you were to exercise 30 minutes a day, it raises it 3 times. And in 4 weeks, you'll feel like brand new in terms of having a positive attitude about everything. And you don't have to ask yourself to have a positive attitude. You just have it. Okay? Mother Nature does it much better. But I just want to tell you, sometimes it's biology. It's not your fault. You're just growing into this horrible mindset and stress, you lose, the control. You can't help it. So here's how you help it. All right. So GABA, which is inhibitor, is made from glutamate, which is the actionable. You need vitamin B6. You need to eat to make serotonin. You need tryptophan-rich foods. So tryptophan is an essential amino acids. Where you get that? Turkey, eggs. Eggs is the single most important. Tofu. I ask all my patients, eat eggs. Don't listen to our guidelines tell you not to eat eggs because you raise cholesterol. No, as long as it's free range. Okay, first of all, we've done it numerous times, the experiments where actually I give somebody 10 eggs, then I measure their cholesterol, give radio label active compounds, and I see how much goes in stool, how much it gets in the body. So from all the cholesterol I get in my diet, less than 10% actually gets in our system. 90% flushes down the toilet. So we know that. And okay, I get a little extra cholesterol from the eggs, the yolk part. Who cares? The benefits are 100-fold compared to how complete is the product. 0 carbs, it cuts your appetite, keeps you steady with slow insulin release, is the best what I call anti-stress food you can have. 3 boiled eggs with some mustard, and then have some veggies on it. And then you're not hungry for 6 hours. It sounds insane. Now you can try something else. I don't care what version, how you like your eggs. Just don't fry them too hard, okay? With vegetable oil. A little butter, it's okay, all right? So, eggs. Sleep. That's how I recharge. 30 minutes of sun exposure first thing in the morning when you wake up. Remember, builds our serotonin. Serotonin then builds GABA. They all come together, all right? And sunlight the same. Exercise raises them both about 3-fold. And the time course, it goes away after 8-10 hours. In other words, it stays up for a while, all right? Now, people can, breathing exercises resets that. What's a good breathing? Here's what breathing. I breathe in, count to 4. I hold it up to 7. I breathe out twice longer than I breathe in. But I mean it. Here's what I mean. If somebody were next to you, they better hear how it goes in and out of your lungs. That's a breathing exercise. Now, you can do it all you want 10 times a day. It takes time. You got to train yourself. Because the key is, if I want to mobilize it when I'm stressed out, I need to bring it on. And I can't really tell everybody, but my nurses see me going to the bathroom often. Sometimes it's because I ate the wrong stuff. Sometimes I don't. I realize I got too worked up and I'm about to start snapping, because sometimes all four of them, they come at me with different things where I'm also with a patient. And I realize that's not right. It's nobody's fault. We just have too much crap going on. So then I take a break in the bathroom and I do breathing exercise. I don't tell anybody. Nobody knows when and what I do. Point is, I learn to regulate myself. But to get there, you have to do this constant every day, not frequent, but learn to train. I train myself when I run. For about 30 seconds, I run as fast as I can up an incline. And they call it HIIT. And I actually do this breathing in and out while I'm running. Because why? That's when I'm being the most of getting short of breath and panic attack, if I were. So if I learn to do it while I'm doing that, then I can bring it on me each time I feel like I'm about to snap at somebody and I don't like to do things that I don't want to do. Okay? But that's important, including improves the relationship with everybody. So again, it's training. It's like training for marathon. You have to do it every day. You have to do it right. Another thing that helps, it's humming. Sounds stupid. Activates that ventral vagal tone. We don't control when we get into the stress zone by fight or flight attack. That's an emotion takes us by surprise. I just heard bad news. One of the significant others is not doing good. I can't control that. So I'll go into that. However, I can control my breathing, and I can get that on the voluntary by time. This humming and everything activates up here nitric oxide and actually brain supply to the blood, including some of those where I was telling you about. But again, it won't happen if you do it once. You have to keep training it. Okay? Simple stuff. Or when you breathe, you can do this. Is when we have a sigh. That does the same thing. When you yawn, that's your brain telling you you're stressed out. You need a break from this crap, whatever you're doing. Okay? Mother Nature gave it to us. We're just ignoring it, and we can build upon that. Okay? So, stress is not the problem. Our adaptation to the stress is the problem. And we can change those adaptations. If you feel that every day, every month, every year, each time Sorescu asks you a question, hey, how's your stress level now? It's terrible. I don't know. All it means is, however you adapt, learn to adapt mind-wise, personality trait-wise, to whatever is the stress. It's maladapted, you haven't changed anything, you then decide to look in the mirror and say, I want to take this. It's not about spending more time, spending more energy, spending more money. It's about looking in the mirror, am I going to do this for others, or am I going to do this for myself? And make the time. I am a busy person. My colleagues can tell you at work. I squeeze in anywhere between half an hour to an hour of running 6 days a week or 7 days a week. This morning, I could have prepared better for this talk. I said, no, I'm going to do my 1 hour run because I'm going to be stressed. And I did that. Point is, you make that not optional, mandatory. I need to, the more exposed to stress I'm going to be, the more I have to prevent and work on my compensatory mechanism, adaptive mechanism, and fix that. And it starts with the mind stress. So you can rewire your mind. Your brain is changeable. The identity is fluid. The reason why you haven't changed anything, you're stressed out, is because the way you see your identity, it's made to match a certain needs for somebody. Everybody but yourself. Now you could say, well, but I'm making a lot of money and I'm enjoying it. And the answer is, are you gaining weight? Are you getting diabetes? Are you feeling like you still want more and more making that money or more stuff? That means you're sick and you're lying to yourself. That just because you enjoy something doesn't mean anything. Just because somebody puts you in some job that you're up there, higher up level than others that gives you the pseudo comfort that you have a social status, that goes away. Tomorrow I leave Emory. Nobody's going to pay attention. Nobody cares. We're all interchangeable units. This is what we do. My patients will, and that's one of strong reasons not to, but the system don't care about one unit. Don't be a fool. You could be the CEO, the top, the bottom. It don't matter. No difference. No difference. You're not as important as you think. So then what? You're going to be a CEO, or you're going to be professor of medicine Sorescu until you die? That's stupid. I don't care. It really doesn't matter. I'm here to do a job. I'm making plenty of income. Let me also get the job done for what I'm supposed to do, why I'm here. And that's why we're here. It's the same thing. You can decide to change that. And I wasn't doing that before. You can break free from the past, and these all sound like big words, but here's how it works. We get triggered in terms of anxiety by 4 things: uncertainty about the future, lack of information. I just told you need a heart cath. Immediately panic attack. Why? You've never had a heart cath. I told the same thing, you need the heart cath, and my patient already had a heart cath. Okay, is it really necessary? Complete insanity. Why? They've already been through this. They know things are different. Now, some of them have bad experience. They don't want to ever hear about it. But actually, compared to 20 years ago, I can tell fewer and fewer. Most of those who already heard the heart cath, they're going to just say, okay, why is now different? What's happening? Explain to me. Again, uncertainty that needs to be clarified. Once we explain the procedure and they know what it is, done. No more trigger for anxiety and stress. Lack of information. That's all we have. We're supposed to have informed consent. Well, some are better in explaining and informing, and some are less. Sometimes it's done too fast and too easy. Loss of control. Yeah, we lose control when we lose somebody close to us, when we go through a breakup. That's actually worse than losing somebody. You know that? Why? Because our mind, the grief is triggered by our mind, me, myself. I'm used to think that's a physical person that I have a great relationship with. The physical part has disappeared. The brain cannot conceive why the physical part doesn't have the consistency anymore. And it refuses to adapt. All right, that's why we have certain grieving protocols that we're supposed to go through to close that. But grief, when you go through a breakup, it's worse because there is an active person who does not like us, doesn't want to care about us. So it's different. And there's a temptation for more physical contact. So it's much worse because it's a self-perpetuating theme that you think you can fix by doing that way. Those things are important. Point is, any of those will trigger, we have what's called a salience. The way it works, or autopilot, a thought, mind wandering, your brain is drifting, you start to think of any of these things. Immediately we trigger our brain alarm, which is the amygdala, and the alarm then sends a signal to the wise brain, and it says, hey, do you think I need to worry about this or not? Okay, and the brain, our self-control, says, oh, you don't need to worry about it. I know she left me, but maybe she'll call back. Who knows? Yeah. Oh, I was afraid that I'm going to be fired, but I don't know. I got a backup plan. It's okay. There is a catch. It doesn't work like that. Why? That's how it's supposed to work. The problem is that the self-control brain, it's 1,000 times slower than the fire alarm. Whoever kicks in first wins. So our fire alarm, we cannot control. That's why you feel it's not under control. Once our amygdala and anxiety is being triggered, and remember, the trigger is not the same. It depends on your background. If I'm an anxious person, I already had a lot of negative experience, my system is upped, okay? Then a low alarm will get me immediately block all my thinking, and it doesn't happen. It's automatically. But if I'm somebody who's resilient and I can take some time, then I can allow my smart brain to kick in. So we cannot control any of this. This is the truth. When you have an alarm or a fear trigger, we cannot control it. And you don't fight fear with another fear either. You can't fight that. All he needs to know, it is not a specific thought or a specific situation that triggers my fear. It's a specific state that I am in. It's like you think that you just opened the fridge and you're at your home and the fridge is loaded with food, so you're hungry. Turns out you just went to find yourself at the hotel, the fridge is empty. And guess what? You're disappointed. It's an illusion. So you can't control those, but we can learn to control our reactions to those triggers. So when I say I'm stressed out, that means my brain has boomed into the survival zone, into an unstable zone. And we need to focus on the state, not on the specific insult. Okay, that's our reaction, not the trigger itself. You need to be aware of that. Wait a minute, I need to activate my slow, problem-thinking brain, but to give it a chance, I need to take a deep breath. I need to do exercise to override this fear part. How do I do? You shift the attention. Okay. 2 a.m., I went to sleep for 2 hours. I just woke up and I remember I gotta go. Tomorrow I have a busy day and I'm supposed to see Sorescu at 8 a.m. Done. You're not gonna sleep after 6 a.m. What do? 2 a.m. I need to get this guy on. How do I get the wise guy on? Well, it's impossible at night. Why? How do I get it? I go out in the sun. Nature will take care of it. Why? That's how these guys wake up. That's why we need to do that 30-minute sun exposure at 7:30 a.m. All right? So this guy is still offline because it's midnight. Supposed to sleep. How do I activate it? Well, I listen to something that cools me down. Some people like meditation. So to somebody's voice, it doesn't matter what, they will just keep you just enough activated and intelligent about it, but at the same time doesn't overactivate you. So I had some patients who I thought, look, or read a book. I always have a book that I'm always excited to read about, a certain author. Start reading it, and you see after a page or two, it just activates enough, and then just put you back to sleep. It resets back out of that automatic pilot, back to some thinking brain. The thinking brain will do that. Writing for a page, a little journal, few thoughts, even this, whatever goes in your mind that moment, does the same job for 5 minutes. I can tell you, for me, reading a book puts me to sleep right away. No digital. Another thing that you can do is listen to some music, just with something relaxing. That will activate this just enough, so it turns off the other part. Again, so shift attention. If I'm in the middle of the day, then you need to shift your mind. You cannot kill overthinking with another thought. You cannot outthink your thoughts. But the purpose of thoughts is action. Thought, it's in the automatic pilot brain. Action is here. So each time you do any small step, any simple action, but with focused attention, you activate back your smart brain, the goal-oriented, the problem solver. So what action can I do? I'm gonna stop doing what I'm doing. I'm going to the kitchen and I'm gonna wash some dishes. But guess what? I'm gonna wash those dishes like it's the first time I've ever done it. I'm paying attention. I'm not gonna take shortcuts. I look at it. I do things that I mean. Okay? It doesn't mean you should overwash it 100 times. No, but do it, pay attention. It's like you're driving the car. How was it when we learned first time to drive a car? The first 6 months, we pay attention to everything. We actually enjoy learning how to drive. After 9 months, after 10 years, we stop having a joy of how to drive. This kind of goes automatic pilot. That's your automatic pilot, which, by the way, it's okay as long as there is no surprise on the road. It'll do the job just fine. But you need to go back and enjoy how to drive again. You need to go back and enjoy how to do a specific, simple action of anything. And you stop that. So action creates motivation, turns off the bad thoughts, gets you back in the control, and you buy the time. So you stop ruminating, so stop ruminating. So, all right. There's another way how to do that. You see, this amygdala I've been telling you about, which is our fear center, which stresses us out, sounds like it's the evil of all, this fire alarm. Not true. On the left, we have negative emotions. They're designed just to protect us. As a matter of fact, there's always When we have an emotion, there is actually a message, a signal, data that our brain is telling us, giving us to us, bring it to our awareness. The problem is we don't see it as data, as an information. We see it as we identify ourselves with the emotion. So you think the emotion or thought is supposed to be this big, part of our daily activities. Our life is supposed to be this big. Think that when I identify myself with that scary thought or memory, suddenly it becomes my life. That is where we're making a mistake. Not true. Because the same amygdala, which is trying to send you just a signal, hey man, think about this. You're hurting down there. Okay, oh, and chest. Okay, fine. What do? I'm going to pick up the phone, call Tiara. Hey, can I see Sorescu tomorrow? Make a plan. Action. See Sorescu tomorrow. If it looks like the pain is controllable, no worries. If it's controllable, I'll see Sorescu tomorrow. Done. I can move on. I don't have to keep persisting into that. Okay? You took an action, a plan, and you do what it needs to do. Or I can do something else. This is not a Sorescu issue. Here is what I'm stressed out about. My mom, dad, or whatever, whoever is happening there, they're going to die. Well, guess what else do we do with other people? It's also the center, amygdala, it's also the center for love. It's a center for kindness, for compassion. When I am with you and I look like I was kind to you, I was not kind to you. I activate my part of my amygdala that sends me oxytocin, serotonin. I feel like I'm a normal human being, which is an unusual feature for me, particularly when I'm at work. Most of the time, I just work for the others, not for me. So it makes a difference. You can activate the positive emotions too in you. Do things that creates also, your amygdala has not just negative but positive. I don't know if you can hear it, but anyway. If you watch this for a minute, you're done with listening to me. This activates a part of our brain. There's nothing more powerful than that. Calm, relaxed. I don't know if you can hear it, but it just started to feel so little. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. That mama, nobody told her what to do. It knows. And we used to do that too. We forgot. This is how we're supposed to be in all our relationships, with everybody. That mama doesn't do it for the baby. It does it for her. It feels great doing that. And the same, the baby learns that it's safe. And it creates a completely different. If it didn't have that, then the baby, look how relaxed it is, now it's starting to play by itself. Free play. Point is, the opposite happens when you go through your media. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We have now the shorts, right? Okay, I want you to do this exercise. You see every single clip that captures attention. We'll start with this. And this is the order, always. First, a clip like the one I just showed you. Trigger some form of empathy from some animal towards you. Oh, look how those, now it's AI that just saves, whatever, the dog saves the humans and all that. It's upside down, it's not even real anymore, okay? So it starts with that because it triggers the same empathy in us and compassion, okay? The next thing will be a fear version. Remember, these two are both in amygdala. One is positive emotion, one is negative. It's the same organ that's triggered, the same nucleus. Okay, but the order is very important. So you have, they trigger some disaster, some bad political news, outside, inside, it doesn't matter. Something that things horrible are happening. Some poor girl who's 14 years old was just kidnapped out of just a regular neighborhood. This will never happen anywhere else, but it happened there, therefore, watch it. Hey, and then suddenly, the third is, I found a solution to your problem. Here's what you need to buy. You absolutely need this. Your whole life is going to end if you don't buy this. It's always disorder. That has been known. So they actually, the algorithm is designed, care, fear, bite, care, fear, bite, care, fear, bite. The same nucleus, little guy, oldest in the animal system is called amygdala. They know it. So, or we can put that in good use for ourselves. Turns out we don't see things how they are. We see them how we are. If I am a person who is stressed out, who looks at everything in a negative way, then I'm easy to get angry. I see others as they're stressing me. If I'm a happy dude, then I see happiness in others. When I'm compassionate is about being kind to yourself. Think this way. I haven't slept last night. I worked the whole day. I come home. I'm supposed to do exercise. I can't. So what am I doing? I'm going to stress out about it. Why didn't I do that? That means I'm a failure. I'm unable to keep up with what I decided I'm going to do. I could choose that. And that's what happens if I'm a stressed guy and I have it all wrong. Or I can say, what if this, not me, but it was my best friend? What would I tell her or him? We could be compassionate to them, but we cannot be with us. Do the same. Treat yourself as a friend when you're down. And say, you know what? Just because I'm missing the exercise because I'm done, I really need my sleep, doesn't mean I'm a failure. I'm going to get to this eventually, but today, I'm going to move it. And I'm not going to create a big deal about it. And that's important. When I'm fully of hope and energy, I see opportunities. When I'm weary, I see the world boring and track. So again, you can change how you see the world. It's up to you. It starts with practice appreciation. The same amygdala, you can be kind to you or others. You can be grateful for you and others. Start by writing a little journal every day, things that you're grateful for today. We're very itchy and very easy to criticize everything around us. And boy, we sure remember everything that's been bad today. And it's been bad yesterday, and it's been bad 10 years ago. But we're terrible to remember what was good today. And no wonder your amygdala is going to only activate the negative emotions, the other. We're going to work on the others. Actually, they show 5 minutes of gratitude journaling a day. It cuts depression by 80% in 6 months. Just that. Because it initially, second I told you, train your focus, pay attention, and then look towards positive thinking. They say positive, but it's really not positive thinking. Again, you cannot think your way out of it. You have to change the state of your mind by doing things that change your mind. All right? So solutions, self-compassion, kindness to yourself and others. Be grateful for what is good in your life. Every day remind yourself, write it down. All right? Because this way, then you calm down this amygdala that is loaded with overthinking and rumination, and including negative emotion perception, and then you activate the other part, the ventral vagus part, that is supposed to keep us socially engaged and be calm and safe. And then you can use your will too. Suddenly you have free will once you're calm and relaxed. I can tell, my wife knows, at home, when I come, if I've started for at least an hour or two, you can bring all the sugar and ice cream you want. I'm not going to touch it. At work, my nurses can tell you, if particular patients bring me the kind of dessert that I like, every minute I'll go and keep binging. And they look at me as like, are you crazy? You're the one telling us no sugar. Look what happens here. Because I'm stressed at work. There is no will there when I have 20 patients to see. So that's why I'm begging everybody, don't put it at work. Please, don't bring it. Because that's where the danger is. I'm not way at home. I'm in control. Okay? And it's a funny thing. If I didn't sleep the night before, the first thing I do when I come home, doctor is one of those jobs that even if you didn't sleep the night before, you still work normal the next day. So then I come home and I'm exhausted. And so first thing I get a power nap. Then I wake up an hour or 2 hours later. The first thing I do, if there is sweets in the house, I go for a sweet. My brain feels it's incomplete story and it's asking for sugar. And I cannot control it in that setting either. My wife makes fun of me. It's like, oh, where's your sugar? No, I don't have this, so don't have it. But that's what happens. And overthinking stops when you change the brain state that you're in. And you can change the brain state by also choosing to either put yourself in an environment that no one wants anything from you, which is nature, or be with or co-regulate with somebody, a significant other, a friend that you won't know, you've known them for a long time, and they are like you, don't want anything. Relationships are very important, particularly when we're young. We tend to think is the more friends we have, the better it is. It's not true. You only need but one good friend who understands you. So it's the depth of a relationship that matters. It's somebody who understands you without even having to say anything, and is not the numbers. Okay? And that's how you actually sort out. So that's very important. Yes, you can change the state of your mind, either in the nature who needs nothing from you, either with a friend or a significant other who needs nothing from you, that understands you, or with just a dog or a cat who needs nothing from you except, you feed them or whatever. Cats are a little more there, but they're still, they can be cute. All right? Point is, there are ways how you can change your state of mind by doing simple things that have nothing to do with any science. And just being back how we used to be, when we were children. All right? This is the diagram I was telling you about. Thoughts are supposed to be just a small part of us. The rest is supposed to be the rest. Well, we tilt it and they become important because we think that if I'm thinking that, then that's me, and I believe that's where it's supposed to be, where you can say, wait a minute, I'm overreacting. Where did that come from? Well, I'm worried about this and that. I say, wait a minute, do I really need to put too much effort into this? It will come and go. Just be curious, how did that come in my brain? All right? So the goal isn't to get rid of the thoughts, it's to stop letting them take over your life. Just think there's more to life than this, okay? And here's the deal, you can try it. If you're into one of these negative thought loops, you can do all you want. And some people do psychedelics, some people, we give you Zoloft or Prozac to help you boost your serotonin, which helps a little bit. But really, nothing is stronger than exercise and sunlight. Nothing. You just have to have enough exposure and daily exposure. Better mood, calmer mind, stronger resilience. The best simple protocol, 20-45 minutes of walking, running, or cycling, ideally in the morning, but it doesn't have to be 4-6 days a week. Notice, exercise every day. And you don't have to be a champion. Just a simple walking. It's just, brain needs daily exposure, needs routine, needs familiar. Familiar outdoors means safe. Outdoors means I'm going to get safe 6 days a week out of 7. Brain records. Stop activating the ruminating brain, which is between the 4 walls. That's activated there. You get the other guy activated. So then you don't need no therapy. All right? And I told you thoughts are just past. Think that they're just clouds, passing clouds. You're the sky. They come and go. It's when you take them seriously, you think they're real. But they're not really real. All right? That's all. And you cannot use a thought to get rid of another thought. When it happens there, so some people do meditation. The purpose of meditation is actually, there's nothing mystic about it. It's very simple. You learn to deal with your own thoughts. That's it. Okay? And learn to have an opinion about it. And learn to have them come in your space safe without being identifying with it, without being drawn by them. Thoughts are not you, contrary to what you think. There's only one purpose for a thought. It lives only for 20 minutes otherwise. Okay, first of all, we don't control how the thoughts come. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to say the next thing or think the next thing. I have a direction, but I could say it any which way. I have no idea how this happens. I just have a direction. The thoughts will come for 20 minutes. They got 20 minutes to live. There's only one purpose of the thought, to lead to an action. If there is no action, the thoughts are useless and they're a disaster. If there's an action, then something happens. Who does the action? This. If this is offline because I'm stressed out, there is no action, all thoughts are bullcrap. You cannot believe a word of what goes through your mind in that moment. You are exactly what you think, stressed out. So how can you trust yourself? It's very simple. That's it. There's no magic to it. So people who learn and they do meditation, have meditation apps, I can tell I tried, it doesn't work for me. I love it. I listen to it. It puts me to sleep. It's so fascinating what it says that it helps me to get out of the stress mode. And I go into a safe zone and I love it. But at one point doing all those breathing exercises, it just puts me to sleep. Why? All it means is probably wouldn't put me to sleep if I have a weaker vacation, so I'm rested enough. But that puts me into a safe zone and just lets my body recover and my brain recover. That's it. But it's important if some people do meditation, some people pray. By the way, prayers are due. When you do this hum, that was part of how we used to do it, million years ago when we were in tribes. It's completely, it's part of actually recovering, getting us into the safe zone, Breathing, as I said, this box breathing allows us to get back into that control, all right? Attention is the skill here, is the mission skill. Why? When I have a thought, it's about the past or the future. I rethink the past, I'm losing the present. I think about trying to prevent the future, I'm losing the present. The truth is, attention keeps us in the present, but keeps also brain scanning the amygdala, and also is the only one that has a solution. You see, you can only decide about anything but what about to happen right now. There's nothing else we have a decision and we can do an action about. Sure, I can set a goal that, okay, I'm planning for tomorrow to go to whatever office to fix this problem, but that's a plan, it's not an action. It's got nothing to do. The only action we can do is about being focused in the present. Get your attention back to there. So you're not your thoughts. Negative thoughts from past or future trigger negative emotions and distract from present. Thoughts arise on their own and live on their own if we just observe and not react. So the secret is to learn to observe them without reacting. Go back to the greatest character of any movie you have ever liked, greatest actors you ever liked. The biggest personalities are the most calm, thoughtful, planned, non-reacting actors. Robert Redford, none of this noisy crap that we have nowadays. Clint Eastwood everybody was doing what was doing, it was just, right, a gun and quiet otherwise. That's it. Non-reactive. Not only that if you can learn not to react and buy time for this, and not take, not only that you take control of yourself, but guess what? You take control of everybody in the room. You are the leader. We look at each other for that co-regulation. The one, if there is a panic, anything happens right now, the one who reacts the least, unless they are asleep, I'm talking about the ones who are the ones who become the leader of the group. Pay attention. This happens everywhere, everything. Because they can actually think it through and not be part of the stress. They're actually one of the few who their mind is still there in that moment. So work on that. It's okay. And that's what meditation is supposed to do. And you start with attention. And it's true, attention is the first act of love. Now, why is that important? I find myself, and too often I see families with children who go, or grandchildren who go to dinner at a restaurant. What do you see nowadays? Kids, each of them, they have a little iPad or iPhone, right? Parents do the same, iPhone. And while waiting for the dinner, everybody's on their own little devices. Not only they are stressing each other, but there is no, you just miss. If indeed they had problems and they wanted to feel better, and the purpose why they are together, not only is not being achieved, but makes it worse. Point is, if you find yourself, I'm stressed out right now, but I know Miss Kiba is a good person, always calms me down. When I'm coming, I say, hey, well, okay, let's talk over the phone, or let's see each other. Well, I need to give her my full attention. I don't go on this. I pay face to face, and I'm gonna, even if I get distracted a little bit by my own negative mind or negative thoughts, I try to pay attention to what I do with the significant other. Big difference. It brings you back. That's part of, blocking those negative thoughts and change what happens. Why? We co-regulate with each other. Big deal. Big deal. Emotions, just like our thoughts, it's the same approach. Instead of saying, your emotions are built by your brain, not trigger. Big feelings are nothing but information. Really, your brain is just trying to send you an information. I am anxious of having to speak in public. Horrible thing. When did I learn that? When I came to this country, my first day of work in Romania, the medical student never talks, only the professor talks. Here is the opposite. The student, the resident, the doctor presents to the attending. I was not used to. So my first presentation was horrible, to the point that my attending told me, and it was with clear, with the best intention. This is not, by the way, we remain friends with a great guy, except that that's not how I got it in that moment. He says, Sorescu, I think you really kind of know your stuff, but you really need to practice on your presentation. So I recommend before you tell me anything, you go and practice in front of the mirror. So if you have that, I'm going to have castration anxiety and performance anxiety for the rest of my time, each time I give a lecture, unless I can overcome it. But it's the same thing. It stresses me out. What is it that happened? That emotion that he created in me, my brain was telling me, well, either you have a problem with English or you have a problem with understanding the culture. Either way, this is your homework you need to work on. That's what that emotion was telling me. But I took it the wrong way. I took it that forever. I will never know how to present. I'll never know how to do it. I'll never speak English, and I'll always be humiliated when I give a public lecture. That's what the brain automatically uses. The truth is, there's no reason to think that way. The reason is, I'm here. Sometimes I might do better, sometimes I may be worse. Do I have something to say that I think overall can improve, or be a good information for the others? Yes. So I'm focusing on that. I stop thinking that I'm going to mess up. That's life. All right? But again, it's the same thing. When we have one of those strong emotions that looks like in that moment take over us, it's not about that. It's about your brain is sending you an information. In that moment, you won't change it. You're still going to be feeling like crap from it. But you can learn, think it through. Okay, what did you want to tell me? And what am I going to do about it? That's it. There's nothing else. For example, I'm feeling chest pain, palpitations. Sorescu said I have heart failure. Well, how am I going to say? Well, I feel overwhelmed. I feel lonely. I feel hopeless. You can say I feel as much as you want. Or you can say, what is the message my heart is telling me? My heart is in danger, and my heart is asking for care. Name it. If you name it, you tame it. Point is, am I going to ignore the message that my heart, I feel bad in my chest, that triggers me to be scared and angry. You can say, I am scared, or you can say, I got to pay attention to my heart. Well, let me pick up. So that means I'm having a message. Let me pick up the phone. Let me call Sorescu office. I'm going to make an appointment. Let's see what they think about this. Help me translate this message that I have here. And then they will ask you, well, your weight go up. Are you able to go up a flight of stairs? Because I promise you, if you go up a flight or two of stairs, your heart is fine. That means something else is happening from up here. So we have a way of helping you to translate that emotion into an information. Then, trust it and then move on. That's it. There's nothing else to it. All right? And I'm going to skip that. I was talking about humming. Yeah, here's what I was trying to show you. Big difference exposed to outdoors. In 5 to 20 minutes, amygdala, cortisol goes down. You feel relaxed, less tense. In 20 to 60 minutes, you start to be clear. The brain gets out of fog, and you start to have what we call DMN activation. This is the part that's what is called the automatic pilot, the one that gives you this rumination, self-loop. You can't control it, kind of bad negative thinking. I, myself, and all that stuff. Well, in reality, it doesn't want to just keep thinking about bad stuff that has happened in the past. In reality, it's also in charge of the free play. So if you were to be back a 4-year-old kid who is safe and protected, and I leave you outdoors, You're going to start playing with a branch, from the tree and just have fun. And that's what it does. The same brain that was negative switches the automatic pilot to positive by connecting with the nature, needing nothing. It changes the story of what's happening. And that's how we're made. Mind gets clear. Then this guy starts to suppress less, activate less amygdala. And then we have this guy coming online. In 3 to 7 days, the emotional processing, ability to deal with my own negative emotion gets better. Finally, I can reflect and make it through, as opposed to feel like there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm totally identifying myself with that. You feel insightful, more aware. After 6 weeks being in the woods, you are completely back to yourself. It cures every major depression you can imagine. But again, isolation in nature. Now I have a term I call being bored in nature. So one of the things that's against anything I'm about to tell you, I would like for you to learn. Do you want to know the cure of any addiction, any anxiety? Learn to be bored. Be bored by food, whole foods, the same food every day. It's okay. Do you know why? Because you don't feed your addiction. Your brain loves whole foods who are boring. That's actually what it likes. And it's also not. So it's okay when I grew up, my mom would make, 2 big, 2 quarts, either soup or stew. And we eat every day the same thing for the next 6 days. And then she'll cook again on Sunday, big batch. And that's all we had. This is how I grew up. Never been in a restaurant in my life until medical school. Even then, I didn't pay for myself. And now you say, well, why? I have a template. I can eat every day the same thing. It doesn't bother me as long as it's complete whole foods, no problem. Okay? But here, my wife is like, oh, those are leftovers. I said, what do you mean leftovers? It's food. It's like something inferior, disgusting, that's supposed to be thrown away to the dog. And it's still hanging around there in the fridge. It makes no sense. So yes, be bored, because then you'll be healthy, and then you get rid of your addictions, and then guess what? You are in control. That you can have ice cream in your fridge and not go to it every minute. Otherwise, you'll never be in control of anything. That's how the brain needs to see differences. If you're maxed out with your senses, the brain doesn't see any more difference, doesn't know anything. It just goes. That's it. But if you have, neutral food, and then you can have a spike, then it keeps that difference, and then you'll know when to stop, how to do. You're in control. Being bored is also important. Many of us, when we get anxious or stressed out, we feel like when you're home, finally you have like an hour doing nothing, and you feel like you got to do something, right? You're missing something. Well, what do you mean? I just sit and do nothing. You got to do something. So you find yourself busy in the kitchen, you find yourself doing something else. And the question is, why? Because I'm afraid to be bored. Why are we afraid to be bored? Boredom is not a problem. Boredom is in which setting. If you're bored between the 4 walls, you got a problem. Because what it means is this automatic pilot can only activate what you can see between the 4 walls. What do you have in those 4 walls? Just your own mind. Every negative experience. So yes, you better be worried that you're be bored with just your mind that remembers only everything is negative, because then you're in trouble. And that's what you're trying to fear. You don't want that guy to be activated. Okay? Doesn't mean you cannot change. I told you. Positive experience, think about, do things that you like, enjoy. I read a book. For 20 years, I haven't read a book. I used to read two books a day when I was a teenager. I couldn't. It was all medical school related, medical textbook stuff. Then this guy got bored with cardiology about 10 years ago, so I went back to reading books. So I love my books. I'm never bored because I never stay with my stupid brain between the 4 walls. I'm going to read and I'm going to stimulate my proper brain, the problem-solving brain, by doing things that I'm interested in. So it's a completely different story when you read a book versus when you watch it. So yes, don't stay between the 4 walls without having a plan that involves also this brain. Or you can be bored outdoors in nature. That boredom, it will never fail. Always leads to something good. Why? The first 5, 10, 15 minutes, you'll feel like something is weird. Oh, I got to do something. I can't just look at the trees. Sorescu is crazy. Look at the birds. What does it mean? After 15 minutes, I'm out of this. Not true. Do it for half an hour and watch, but focus on a certain thing. You'll be surprised. That builds back the connection with nature we have. It resets this guy that's always hyper vigilant, angry in you and insufficient. It resets deep difference. So boredom in nature is fine. Just give some time. All right? Boredom between the walls, you better have a backup plan. Read a book, listen to some music, have a plan where this guy gets back online. Otherwise, yes, you should be afraid. And yes, you learn instinctive that going and cleaning the kitchen and the dishes, any action is better than no action. But that doesn't mean you can never take a break and just be with yourself, but just you got to be careful how you do it. That's all. Okay? And that's what I was trying to say. Sitting. Very important with no goal when you no phone and really pay attention. Watch ahead of you. Don't look down. Letting your mind drift. At the beginning you are uncomfortable. There's a thing called actually Shinrin Yoku. You guys know? Japanese. Touch the tree. You go in the forest, you touch the tree for 20 minutes. Believe it or not, there are soil microbes that increases your serotonin production from the gut when you do. Barefoot on the grass is not a joke. 5, 10 minutes out. When I get out now, because it's beautiful outside, I couldn't do that in the winter. But now that the temperature is fine, I am barefoot intentionally the first 15 minutes when I'm in the garden. And after that, I put back my shoes on. Simple thing. And here's what I mean being in the nature, and really, within 20 minutes of being actually in the forest, immediately you really get your cortisol back to normal. All right? This is how we used to do it. And this is how we do it now. Modern life, 9% indoors, processed junk food, engineered to be addicted, disconnect from nature. Guess what? Processed food targets your brain like cocaine, and it's not a mistake. It's a business model. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with them trying to make money out of us. Okay? What is wrong is us not knowing that or acting like we don't know. Okay? That's your problem. Say yes to this, say no to that. I told you about that. Staying in the sun is actually the best antihypertensive you can imagine. Doesn't mean you're going to fix all the high blood pressure that way. You got to change your mindset too. But you'll be surprised. I have to back off and keep changing my blood pressure medicines depending whether you're in the sun, in the summer, in the winter. Blood pressure always goes up. In the summer, always goes down. I have to keep being flexible about that. Okay? Big deal. If you have problems with sleeping, it's because you did not wake up right. Go. Spend 30 minutes in the sun if you can afford. Not the ones who have to work and leave early in the morning. But for me, sometimes when I get a moment, I literally just go and look through the windows in our office. And I look at stuff. Makes a difference, okay? We are nature that forgot itself. You can do other things that are all wonderful. They work along the same principle. Meditation, yoga, breathing exercises, and retrain the brain to relieve stress. Willpower fails because we ignore biology. There is no willpower if you're stressed. That's a myth. You get out of the stress zone, then there's willpower. Now, how do we get that? Well, it's chemicals that are missing. So we need to put back the chemicals. One of them is we got to bring down the cortisol. But you can create, the brain does not listen to intensity. So let's say I'm going to do exercise. Now, it doesn't care about you doing the exercise and going up and sweating and losing 500 calories in an hour. As a matter of fact, we'll fight you against that. It's opposite. What it cares about is repetition. If you do it, anything that you do 15 minutes a day of walk for 6 days a week, 10 times more effective than if you do 3 times a week, 45 minutes of exercise. It's every day. Brain change is the state based on a daily routine. Just like we created negative habits, we can create positive habits. You create positive habits. It takes, by the way, 6 months to get rid of a negative habit. It takes 6 months to get a real positive habit that your brain will stop resisting you. Routine building, again, want something, control discomfort. It may be a little uncomfortable. It's okay. Just don't put don't make a big plan. I'm not going straight and suddenly I'm going to run for an hour on treadmill. No, you know what? I know I'm so tired when I come home, I'm just going to put my shoes on and just walk for 15 minutes. Or I do a 15 minutes walk after I just ate dinner. Why? Because that gets rid of the sugar after the dinner. So then the muscles know. Big deal. That's it. But you make it an everyday thing. Okay? And that's what I was trying to say. When stress takes over, willpower disappears because only lives really where safety, pace, and health exist. Take a small step and then another. And really what changes the brain and makes your New Year's resolution working, it's what is familiar, what you do every day, not intensity. Okay? That's important. By the way, all this, so here is things that I suggest. Start picking up one of these. It's in your little handout. Pick any of these habits. Make it a habit, 6 days a week. Make sure you get one good, and then you build another one. Then you build another one. Nothing serious. Walk 10 minutes after each meal, or whenever you can afford. Exercise. I don't have time to exercise. So if there's one exercise that will do everything for the best possible time involvement, I tell everybody, if you want, buy from Amazon, you can buy a rowing machine that you can put vertical under $200. Put it in the basement. Anybody can accommodate this. Why is rowing a big different than anything else? Activates 95% of the back muscles. I'm talking about from here all the way down. Everywhere we've hurt in the body, there's no joint in the body that doesn't hurt because we have an imbalance between our front muscle and back muscles. Front muscles, much stronger. Every exercise we ever design, including us walking, favors the front muscles, not the back muscle. We don't walk backwards. And the older we get and the more we don't have time for exercise, we only favor walk. That's our ultimate exercise, so to speak. So your back muscles from here down are weak, including I told you when you stay in front of the computer, a little tilt of this makes this weak. Puts uneven pressure. Joints don't care what is a lot of weight or little weight. All they care for is it balanced. Are the front muscle balanced with the back muscles? If it's balanced, then I keep it vertical, straight. There's no pressure on the joint. So you can do all you want. You train all the Olympic and sprint and everything you want, and you don't do anything for your back muscles. Then you're going to hurt a lot when you try to sprint. Doesn't matter that you do 10 miles running or not. It's the same thing. So rowing, 15 minutes. Why? Any other exercise you want to do, even from time to time, your joints will stop hurting. But not only that, but it also gets you knees, everything else. Plus it gives you what I said, all those neurotransmitters, it gets them up and balanced, and it's only 15 minutes. I start with 15 minutes, I do 30 minutes, that's 5K. When I'm done with that, I don't need no running that day. I still need my sun exposure, but it's amazing for the 15 minutes that I do, or 30 minutes. Walking, go outside 15 minutes in the morning. When you drink your coffee, learn to stop doing multitasking. Okay, if there's one way to fix your brain, is get rid of multitasking. You will never, ever make any progress in working on controlling your mind if you keep doing multitasking when it's not necessary. Okay, you're a mom who's got a 3-month-old baby and has to do something else. I get it. You put your shoes on while, you got to get your phone. I get it. But everything else has to be intentional, and particular relationship with others. When you talk to somebody, if you cannot look in their eyes and talk to them, stop talking. You're just wasting time and energy. Why? Because that's how our brain creates its identity, what's safe, what's not safe, but also it's the lack of, what do digital media do to us to raise our dopamine? Captures our attention by multitasking all the time. When you do that, you work at the subconscious level of your brain. It's like you pull your pants only up to the knees, but not up to here, and you start walking. Your full brain is not active, and it gets isolated and stressed out. So dividing your attention puts stress in the brain automatically, and it gets you into automatic ruminator self-pilot. So try to do as intentional as you can anything with your attention. Simple task. Focus one at a time, particularly when you are with other humans. Very important. Doesn't mean you can never, there are moments when we do, but try that. You'll be surprised. It's not that easy to actually pay attention to the other human being, particularly the significant other. They always, I know, there are many times they say the same thing 10 times. When I say it again, I say, oh, that's not what she means. I realize she just needs to express herself to recharge her battery. That's it. She talks to me. I don't have, as a matter of fact, I'm going to make it easy for myself. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to think anything. I just want to pay attention. I'm paying attention. It's true. The first act of love is attention. Attention keeps us in the present. If you ever want to be happy, when is happiness happening? When is happiness happening? In the future, in the present, or in the past? Right. So this story that I told you at age 3, I need to make sure I'm gonna study hard as in pre-K so I can be happy when I'm in the kindergarten. Then I'm happy when I'm in planning happiness is the biggest waste of our life ever. Nothing will plan happiness. There's nothing you can do about that. But I can be happy right now because I see the expression on her face when I'm actually paying attention to her, and she looks like, she's seen, she's heard, and it makes a difference. And I see her happy, I'm going to get happy. It's a completely different story. It's an act of kindness. It doesn't mean everything we do, we're going to be happy. No. But the first requirement to even have a chance for happiness is attention. And full attention. And we have learned not to be able to pay attention. That's why we don't have control of our mind. That's why we cannot focus on anything. Stop doing multitasking with other humans around. Unless, obviously, you're in the bus and you don't want to know anybody, you don't know anybody, it's fine. But even then, you'll be surprised how much fun you can have if you actually are able to make a simple conversation that makes sense with somebody. It doesn't matter. But you can make it whatever you like. I'm just saying it. I can make almost anything meaningful with anybody, with a stupid dog, if I actually pay attention enough. And I'm having fun. How far I'm going to go, that's a different story. But that's the point is, focus your attention one thing at a time. Try to uncouple from multitasking unless it's absolutely necessary. Obviously, you're a manager, you got 10 other things. You have this meeting, Sorescu is texting me, I got to answer. Okay, fine, but know that you're doing 2 lame jobs. You're not doing 1 good job, you're doing 2 lame jobs. Your attention won't be, you're not working with your smart brain, you're working with your idiot, anxiety, fire alarm brain. It's automatic pilot from some pre-learned behavior template from the past, which may or may not suit whatever is needed right now. Let's pray this works. That's it. All right? But if I want to improve, I need to be able to be, why attention allows me to see everything is happening right now and how is this different. My brain will figure how is this different from the other template I had in the past and can upgrade. Attention is the first. And I keep trying and upgrade. Eventually, I feel like I'm perfect in sync with what I'm doing right now. Guess what? I have a chance of being happy. Difference. I allow my brain, my really smart brain, to acquire every information how it's supposed to be. I have to keep the attention. Very important. And especially with other humans, and especially with people that matter to you. All right? Now, the other ones don't. Stay away from them. But I'm just saying. So, it starts with paying attention how you drink your coffee. This is how I started this on the psyche. You don't feel good, make a coffee, feel it warm, stay outside the porch, and enjoy it. Enjoy the taste of it. Do nothing else. Don't read newspapers, don't do anything else. Literally, if you made a coffee because you want to taste it, do exactly that. It's a simple thing, or it could be you make your own breakfast and eat the dinner or the lunch. Enjoy it. Leave everything else. Like how things are supposed to. And this is what I mean by focus one task at a time. Give full attention when listening and take quiet moments. Now, here is why I like rowing. Even 15 minutes. By the way, I've done it at 8 years old. Women, men, it don't matter. You want to prevent those hip fractures and falling? You guys know why we fall when we're 70 or 80? It's not because is because these guys get weaker than these guys. And when you stand up, your bone has lost calcium and your hip breaks. You actually first break the bone, then you fall. Because muscles have no support, the back muscles. That's the number one cause of frailty. So, but here's this guy. It's been actually not only, this was in Washington Post 2 years ago. I showed this before. But I read actually the original paper where the American Journal of Physiology, a bunch of 20 physiologists took biopsies from his muscle. They study him in every which way you can imagine. And they're around 93, he's as fit as 40 years old. Okay, so then you say, okay, well, you know, and of course he was world champion since from age 60 all the way up to 90. And you say, okay, well, it's clear, not everybody does rowing since they were born, right? Well, guess what? Never done any exercise until he was 70. And all he does, they show him his training space. In his garage, he does 30 minutes of rowing every other day, and does fast walking or running 30 minutes a day. But he means it. 6-7 days a week. But rowing is the main thing. Now, obviously, when he does competitive part, he prepares a little extra. Most of the time, in his garage, and he started at age 70. And that tells me the possibility of what this particular kind of exercise does for us. If I were to pick one, and I don't have time, that's all. It covers everything. All right? And what is it? It's 4 o'clock already. Wow. We're going to stop here. We'll do it some other time. What do you guys think? All right?